Hi lovely people, and welcome to another Galactic Mayan astrology report. So this is an astrology report through the Galactic Mayan calendar for the Wednesday the 29th of November 2023. Oh my goodness me. Whew! Beaming at you live from the alternative to school that I've created. It's New Creatives, you. Oh, the last little video I made, I was very deep in the feels. I feel like I often get the wavespell vibration before it actually lands. And yeah, blue hand that we've just moved through, that archetype is super deep feels in it. So I'm sure that you also were raking through your past and re-experiencing traumatic triggers and being really deep in your emotional body, and or kind of working with the parts of you that manage the intensity of your emotional feelings. Sending love to all of our sensitivities and our hearts, but we're moving into a new wave spell now. And this is the energy. So within the Galactic Mayan calendar, we have 20 archetypes, and the archetypes, there's 20 in a row, column, that's a row, isn't it? It's in a column. And the yellow sun is actually the 20th archetype. Don't let it boggle you too much, but the reason that I bring that into focus is because this archetype of the yellow sun is about integration. So it's the final of the 20 signs, which means that it kind of involves all of them. But the big thing of the yellow sun is about enlightenment, and enlightenment is about moving beyond duality. It's about bringing everything to light, bringing everything to love, and recognizing that everything is love. So as a yellow sign, the yellow signs are all about this blossoming energy. So it's kind of it's a natural arising. This idea of integration comes from, feeling the feelings. And again, it's just this beautiful way that the wave spell process is hand a baton over to one another. So we've just come out of this 13-day process with the blue hand, which was all about the feeling of our feelings, and now we're moving into this process with the yellow sun, which is about the integration process. So I was chatting about this theme last night, and the energy of integration and just generally what it means to be in this reality. If we are looking at it from an evolutionary perspective, and if we take it out of the shared collective reality and just into our personal reality, which is no different on one level, but in an individual level, there's something that comes from the recognition of evolution and its force in our lives that allows us to see that actually there's never anything that's happened to us that wasn't actually to support us to evolve, that wasn't actually to support us to grow and expand into something different. Now, whether we choose, and this is the whole thing of the planet at the moment, and this is the whole thing of humanity at the moment, it's about choice. Do we lean into the evolutionary choice, or do we choose to not take the gateway? So when something's happening to us, and yeah, we have been conditioned to be in victim mentality, the teaching of this reality being something that we're all constructing together has been kind of lost. And all of these stories of people taking other people's power and oppression, and it's all it's horrendous what's happened on the planet and kind of what continues to happen on the planet. But the big thing really that liberates the whole thing is the understanding that we create our own experience, and that we have the power to consciously create our own experience. And it's about the dissolving of what's been formed in the underworld through trauma, through collective belief and ideology, that limits that capacity for us to fully believe that we are able to create what we want to create in this reality. And the other piece of it really for me is with synchronicity. And I think this is something that the teachings of Jesus and Mary Magdalene were really highlighting. Synchronicity is basically, from my understanding now, after studying it and experiencing it for a long time, it's like there's already a blueprint of how we are living in unity. And when we're living in unity, it's an intuitive flow of existence where each of us is operating on behalf of the divine consciously. So there's a surrendered conscious awareness and action. And, you know, when we're, this synchronistic thing is like, oh, okay, we're in the grid now. We're in the grid of what unity consciousness looks like. And that's what the synchronistic, and this is what Jesus was, you know, really bringing forth. Like, when you're in your heart, you know, when you surrender to God's plan, you know, you're in this synchronistic reality of everyone being in heart, and it's one heart, isn't it? And then what we're doing in that space, we flow together, you know, so we don't need to organise, we don't need to plan, we don't need to force, it's a flow. So yellow sun energy is about that, you know, it's the idea of enlightenment, you know, and again, like, I think there's just been so many interesting manifestations in terms of language that limits our understanding or that sends us off in wonky ways, but it's to illuminate. So to illuminate is to bring things to light, and to bring things to light is to bring them to love, you know. And again, this is something that was really kind of processing over the weekend with my partner. You know, it's like we bring these parts of us to be witnessed. But it's not, you know, the idea of bringing shadows to light isn't bringing the shadow to shame. It's bringing the shadow to love. And it's that deepening into like full responsibility of, wow, I have toxic behaviour. You know, there are parts of me that are in their attempt to protect, or in their attempt to do what they want to do for the good of my system, can often have a negative impact on another system. But then this is the beautiful thing in the way that triggers work with one another. So I'm triggered and I trigger you, so we've then both got content that we can work with. So this trigger is bringing a shadow to light, so we get to see, and if we choose to actually recognise, like, wow, like, I love this part of me and I'm giving it space to express and to be seen. And I'm also holding the wider awareness and the wider space of, I really honour how you're feeling, but we're also not going to step forward like that. Or I can see this part of me and where it's operating from, but not using it as a barrier to take responsibility, because this is another thing that comes often, and again it links back to this victim consciousness. So this like recognition of like, okay, bringing the shadow, bringing the pained parts to the surface, so that we can really see like, wow, when I'm feeling like this, I'm operating like that. And I think that's part of the, you know, huge part of the process, because these unconscious behaviours are so removed from our conscious awareness that we can't see them often. So then to bring them to be seen is like the first step of huge challenge, because it's like, I've spent my entire life not looking at that. I'm not willing to look at that. Instead, I'm going to focus on you and what you've done. But actually it's like, you know, can we bring that and look at that and feel like, wow, that part of me is really hurt, and in its process of hurting is hurting others. And then how can I love this part? How can I love this behaviour? How can I love this aspect of me and bring them home before we even look at another person's behaviour? And this is another part of the puzzle as well, you know. I think sometimes the love and light teachings, sometimes the compassion teachings, we've been speaking about it a lot within the community that I'm part of. You know, how do we, because we need the fierce boundary that says no. So hurt people, we have these parts of us that hurt other people, you know, this is kind of part of the dance of what we're doing here. But there are certain energies, certain archetypal energies in the subconscious that are extremely damaging to other people, that are extremely adverse. And it's not about, oh, it's totally okay that you did that to me, and you know, and I love you and I can hold you. It's about, fuck no, boundary. You're not doing that to me. And I get where it's coming from. And I'm sending you love with it. But that energy is not okay. Because the energy, when it comes to then what's coming into the relational sphere, it's the projection of the pain. So each person has this responsibility to like pull out and be like, wow, okay, this is where I'm at. And then do that, you know, it's like step one has to be, in some ways, the shame. Because the shame, the sacred shame, arises when we actually have responsibility. You know, that energy of like, fuck, isn't a negative low vibration that we shouldn't have all the time. You know, there's toxic shame, but there is also a sacred shame. And that gateway of shame is like, wow, fuck me, I can really see and have that like micro ego death, have that micro revelationary moment that's incredibly painful. And then the next step is the loving integration. And this is what Yellow Sun energy is all about. How do we bring ourselves to the table, our own table, dialogue with those parts of us, recognize how we've been out of balance, recognize how we've not been in integrity in our relationships. And it's a lifelong process, you know, but every time that we allow ourselves to enlighten another aspect of who we are, we're doing it for the collective too. And yeah, I think there's something really opening at the moment in terms of all of this. And this is why, you know, the evolution of the planet at the moment and everything that's happening on the planet at the moment, the majority of it is an inside job. You know, it's an inner like recognition. And you know, sometimes it might be parts that are sabotaging. It might not be that there's necessarily a focus on like, you know, outward hurting of another or something like that. It might be a sabotage, it might be a victim, it might be a, oh, woe is me, everything always messes up for me. It might be a, you know, oh, I'm just going to give myself away all the time in order to be validated. You know, these are all still aspects of the subconscious that are trying to get their needs met in ways that are not honouring either to another or to ourselves. And to bring that up, but to take fierce responsibility. Fierce responsibility is the integral piece to change. Fierce responsibility that says, fuck me, taking that back in, having a word with myself, going through that gateway, maybe feeling the historic pain, but not getting lost in the story of the historic pain, because again, that can be used as a buffer, this like victim buffer that doesn't allow that gateway of like, I've been a bit of a dick, or I'm really not honouring myself, or you know, it's like the avoidance of responsibility comes through the blocking of that. But then if we allow ourselves to go through it, it's like, wow. And then we integrate, and then more of our being is online, and then we're more conscious. And then, you know, the idea of being conscious is being aware and choosing our actions, choosing our reality, choosing as opposed to subconscious choice, because it's always a choice on one level, but that subconscious decision that is away from the conscious mind to behave in whatever way, to react in whatever way, to do whatever. You know, it's like, how deep can we go with this? And we're in this like final window before the darkest point in the year in the side of the world that I'm in. You know, we've got like less than a month until the solstice. We're like 3 weeks, so it's the last window of descent. We're really in the underworld now. And yeah, you know, Taco and I are doing this incredible coaching program, and we're so buzzed for it. And until solstice, we are offering it at a massively discounted rate, but we can support you in this, you know, and there's something in having a safe place to uncover these aspects of self, to go through these gateways. You know, we can't do it on our own a lot of the time because we've built so much around the avoidance of it. But to be loved and to be held, and I think, you know, in a therapeutic container it is different because the behaviour isn't affecting the person that's sat in front of you often. So they're able to hold it in a different way because their shit isn't being triggered. So come join us, come journey with us. I'll put a link below for, yeah, to book in and have a free call with us, and we can just have a chat about where you're at. And you know, I really do believe in what Taco and I have created. It's like some next level shit. And we know, you know, it's like what we journey and then what we bring through the journey is like, it's one and the same thing, but it's some next level magic. So yeah, I send you so much love, my darlings. And you know, we've all got a fucking shadow, we've all been hurt, and we all have the responsibility, the full responsibility to do something about it. So let's get fucking cracking, shall we? So that we don't keep passing the baton on to all these fucking kids that then grow into more wounded adults. Like, Jesus Christ. Let's just clean it up. Clean it up. Let it go with compassion after going through the shame gateway. And then click, 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 click. Different vibration for humanity. Because once we're more enlightened, once more from the underworld is out, it's so much easier to grid into the synchronistic realm where we're operating together in love because we've actually reintegrated. And it's almost like having a pot that's got loads of cracks in it. As we reintegrate, you know, we're able to then hold more light. When we're not integrated, it's really difficult for us to hold light, which means that it's really difficult for us to operate in the synchronistic realm, which means that we're in this weird third dimensional clunky, I have to do everything on my own and everything hurts and everything feels fucked up. Sort the pot out. Hold the light. Alive with synchronicity. Love the love.